When committing unlawful acts against others, wrongdoers often don't even consider the consequences. Some, on the contrary, indulge in such actions with particular pleasure or mockery. But when they stand before the court and hear the sentence they will serve behind bars, their reactions can be quite diverse. Hello, you're on the NSK Show channel, and these are the reactions of the convicted to their sentences. Brandon Spencer. This 20-year-old convict goes by the name Brandon Spencer, the man who attempted to take the lives of 4 individuals during a shooting at a Halloween party organized by the Black Student Assembly in October 2012. Seemingly a tough guy, but in the courtroom, his nerves clearly crumble. He even bangs his head against the table and starts crying loudly during the sentencing hearing. The thing is, Spencer finds it hard to believe that he won't see freedom for the next 40 years. Yes, anyone in his shoes might behave similarly, but as they say, everyone is responsible for their actions. This young man was convicted on 4 counts of attempted murder. What can be said? It's time for him to face the consequences of his actions. Andrew Vert. The 25-year-old Andrew Vert is a member of the Diablo Slobos motorcycle gang. He was suspected of serious crimes against 2 individuals near a bar in downtown Jefferson. In the courtroom, the guy erupted with a stream of profanity. In a fit of anger, he vehemently demanded to be released and simply couldn't believe he was sentenced to a long 30 years. After that, he turned to the audience and said the charges were ridiculous. Then Andrew started fighting with court bailiffs, who eventually subdued him and dragged him out to the waiting area. This incident happened just a few meters away from where colleagues and family members of one of the victims were sitting. I think such behavior was quite predictable. But it just looked terrible, said James Wallace, the police chief who sat right behind Vert at the hearing. Seriously, what could he achieve with his aggression? Just an additional 4 months added to his sentence for appalling behavior in the courtroom and insulting law enforcement officers in the line of duty. Thomas Michael Lane. A teenager from Ohio, clad in a white t-shirt bearing the inscription, "Killer," in bold letters. He smirked, cursed, and made obscene gestures as he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. As the verdict was read out to this 18-year-old, he rocked back and forth in his chair, while the victim's relatives rose to their feet, calling him a monster, wishing him an excruciatingly slow and painful demise, and stating that he should be locked up like an animal. Throughout the proceedings, Lane always maintained a stone-cold expression and denied his guilt. When given a chance to address the judge, he disregarded his attorney's advice and made a brief, shocking statement. This hand that pulled the trigger is now repeating it in memory. I show you all the... Gasps filled the courtroom, and some began to cry. Honestly, I wasn't prepared for that, said Prosecutor James Flies after Lane's vulgar gesture. This confirms what we've been saying all along. It was a cold, calculated, deliberate crime. The person we're dealing with is incredibly despicable, continued Flies, and he still refuses to give any explanation as to why he did it. The only explanation I can offer the court is that he simply wanted to. Judge David Fury handed the psychopath 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, to which Lane only smiled and nodded approvingly. Jerry Askin. 29-year-old Jerry Askin from New York was sentenced to 25 years. He was involved in a car accident while driving under the influence. As a result of this action, an entire family perished as their car was heading towards him. Jerry was the sole survivor of this horrific accident, but due to the injuries he sustained, he had to switch to a wheelchair. However, as the saying goes, this fact does not absolve him of guilt. In the footage from the courtroom, we can see the criminal in a distraught state. He simply can't believe what he has done and the sentence looming over him. Indeed, it's all written on his face. What do you think? Did Jerry Askin receive a fair sentence for this charge? It would be interesting to hear your opinion. Share your thoughts in the comments under this video. Anthony Garcia. In the courtroom, awaiting his fate, Anthony Garcia assumed the same posture as he did 2 years ago when he was convicted of prior crimes. Just look at this actor without an Oscar, now confined to a wheelchair. His neck is tilted to one side, his eyes squinted, and his head occasionally nods. Apparently, Garcia was trying, in this peculiar way, to show that something wasn't right with his head. And you know, perhaps it's for the best that he couldn't see anything. Right behind his right shoulder sat the families of the victims, eagerly waiting to hear if Garcia would receive the harshest punishment. Later, it was revealed that Garcia thought they'd consider him mentally unstable and reduce his sentence a bit. But that didn't happen, and this criminal received his deserved punishment, a 35-year sentence. Alexis Sexton. Perhaps girls tend to be more reserved in expressing emotions when it comes to their involvement in any legal matters. A prime example is 15-year-old Alexis Sexton, who simply burst into tears in court, purely in a girlish manner, during the sentencing. But what could justify judging such an apparently innocent teenager, you might ask? This girl was sentenced to 15 years in prison for causing injuries to a 14-month-old boy she was babysitting. She was charged with criminal assault and endangering the lives of children. By the way, the mother of the injured little boy, Victoria Gans, was also charged, but for failing to provide medical help after the baby was hurt. In conclusion, it's important to always think before acting, as the consequences can be utterly unpredictable. That's all for today. Take care, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.